Well, we have talked a lot about the itch mites that have been feeding on many people this summer. I know all about that, especially this is happening in the suburbs. But the bites are also bugging pets. This morning, Dr. Tony Kremer, he is a veterinarian with Animal Care Center of Plainfield, and he is here with to tell us some of the symptoms and ways to provide relief for your four-legged friends at home. Nice to have you here.
Good morning.
And you brought two of your
These are my
little
guys
dogs,
here,
right?
yeah.
Okay, now they don't have itch mites, but we're going to sort of demonstrate how do you know, how do you look for these itch mite bites on dogs?
Well, we're getting an awful lot of calls as well. People that just find that their dogs have been itching a lot, and certainly there's a lot of other things that cause it besides the itch mite. You know, obviously fleas, things like other mite infections like mange. All of these things are maybe much more common than the mites, but if there's a correlation with the people getting bit by the mites and they're out with their pets and they see that the pets are itchy, chewing on themselves, scratching at lesions and that type of thing, or getting bald spots, they need to get those pets in. We need to, number one, make sure that it isn't something more serious. The itch mite itself, just like with people, is more of a nuisance.
Yes.
We're not going to see that characteristic lesion on the dog with all the hair like we would on a person.
I was going to say, because I suspect my dog might have it because we were all suffering from it, but it's hard to find it.
Right. If they're going at a spot on their skin, what we'll do when we get them into the clinic is, if we don't see an obvious mite or we don't find something in a little scraping or a little test, we can treat them for mites pretty easily with an insecticidal dip, which will pretty much take care of itch mites as well as lots of other problems.
Now, is it harmful, the itch mites, to dogs, big or small?
Again, more of a nuisance, but there is some thought from the Public Health Department of Illinois that if these dogs were to ingest this mite, because it has this neurotoxin that they're talking about that makes the welt so bad on people, that it could cause internal problems like a gastrointestinal problem or vomiting or diarrhea. Again, if we see that kind of thing going on, it would probably be a much more of a problem in a small dog just because of their weight. But if we see that, again, it makes us a little bit more thoughtful that it's serious and that those symptoms of vomiting and diarrhea should be treated.
Now, what about any treatments that we can do at home to just alleviate the itching? Well,
it's going to be a tough thing because of all the fur, and that topical creams and that are a little bit tough. A lot of times veterinarians will give them an injection because the itch may be very intense. That injection will give them some relief immediately, and then we move to something like topicals. So if they're to the point where they're actually making a bald spot or they actually have lesions, they may already have skin infection, they probably should be seen.
Now, are there particular areas on their body that they're more prone to these itch mites?
Certainly in people they've had a correlation on that, and in dogs I think because of making a tough correlation with their hair, and that again, it's going to be tough to tell exactly where those bites are. I would think that shoulders, back, and along their back legs, it seems to be the most common places that they have any of these itchy spots.
So not necessarily harmful to the dogs, but if you do have concerns, contact your vet.
Exactly.
To have it checked out. Thank you very much, Dr. Kremer.
Thanks so much for having me.
By the way, you can find more information and a link to Dr. Tony's website on our website at abc7chicago.com. We'll be right back.